No, because something with more mass needs more energy to be accelerated.
Okay.
Like for example, if you get hit by, I don't know, a leaf with with like 50 kilometers per hour,
Okay.
it won't really hurt you because it doesn't have a lot of energy in it.
Energy. Okay.
Yeah, because it doesn't have a lot of mass. But if you get hit by a 50 kilometer per hour fast moving piece of metal, it will hurt.
Oh, so mass
Because
as in, okay,
It
that's
has
fine.
a lot of mass.
But I still doesn't, I hear you, I agree with that. But I still don't understand why I'm not flying into houses. Why am I not flying into elephants? They're bigger than me. Why are they not attracting me?
They
Gravity-
are, but with a weak force.
Well, you know, in quantum physics, they say that gravity is the weakest of the forces. The atomic force and the weak atomic force and the magnetic force
Yeah.
is way orders of magnitude stronger than this gravitational force. So
Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah. So for me, I think it's electromagnetic. If there is an attractive force, as Cavendish might have found, then it's because there's an electrostatic charge. You know, like when you rub the balloon on your hair, or whatever, you can make your hair stand up, or it'll stick to you. The balloon will stick to you. Well, there is that electrostatic force between things. So I think there's that attractive force. So the idea that I'm being drawn to you, other than if I was a woman and I found you attractive, that would be different. But I'm not being attracted to you. I've gone past the biggest mountain, say, and I don't feel, wow, it's sort of pulling at me now. I can feel the tug of that thing. But I know that people say, oh, it's because it's down, it's being pulled down.
Well, don't scientists say that the biggest part of Earth is in the core? So therefore you would be pulled down and not to a mountain, because the mass of a mountain is comparably smaller than the mass of the core of the Earth.
So the core of the Earth is another one of the things we're taught to believe is a known science. But it's 4,000 miles to the core. Did you know that? 4,000 miles to the core. 6,000 kilometers.
Yeah, makes about sense, yeah.
It's about 600 kilometers. We've only dug 12 kilometers into the Earth. That's the deepest mine that we can take because it's too hot, too hard. We can't go below that. So how can they make claims about 4,000 miles when they can only get 12 kilometers?
Probably based on calculations.
Yeah, so let's not trust just maths guys who want to say we can, because remember, if they're building up the ball, it's really just a soccer ball, football, just blown up to 24,000, 25,000 miles circumference. That's all they've done. So once you do that, you say, okay, well, what's the diameter and the radius of that going to be, right? It's easy maths. That's simple maths to do. But then go and test it and say, let's go down there and check that there is such a thing. You can only go 8 miles into the ground. You can't say that there's something 100 miles beneath your feet. So I don't know if the skin of the orange, as I say, is more than 10 miles thick. Maybe that's it. Maybe
but I mean, we can still, like for example, for how do you call it? Geothermal drilling.
Oh yeah.
You can make measurements with sort of ultrasound and make predictions of what the different layers of stone will be.
Yeah.
So like we can make predictions of what's under us based on. So therefore, I think
I totally get that.
you can also make calculations on maybe what's
so a lot of
even
the
further
science,
down.
So a lot of the science that we take is based on predictions by a machine that gave us a readout. So the distance to the stars, these are all they're hypotheses. We can't actually go out and measure them for ourselves. The distance to the inside, but we can do measurements and maths and say, oh, if we do this, it could be this, it could be that. But we can't actually test these things for ourselves. So because we don't accept that we went to the moon, for example, that we can get out of this place, then we're certainly not going to accept that they've got a machine that can tell us this or that. Because they had a machine that they invented called the interferometer that they designed to be able to pick up the Earth's spin. And they couldn't find the Earth's spin. This is 100 years ago. Best scientists, French, English, they couldn't find it in the interferometer experiment. So they buried that. And they have a sort of thing now, but they say, what they're picking up is some kind of angular drift, and that angular drift doesn't equate to 1,000 miles. It just means that yes, something's moving, but it doesn't mean the Earth is moving. We think that the ether is moving rather than the Earth. Or that's my assertion.
Okay, let me say that.
If the Earth is flat,
You're telling me
would people fall down on the edge?
No,
Why not?
because it has to be enclosed, like a snow globe. It has to be a ball.
Why is that?
Well, don't you see balls everywhere in nature? And if you've ever been to a lake, you will know that the lake will only break where it's got a wall, where it's got a low point, right? So if you have a lake with no low point, unless it floods, the water's not going anywhere.
Okay.
So if we
So
just using common
therefore.
sense, right? Just using what you observe in the world to say, well, why not can't Lake Geneva be 1,000,000 times bigger? And we live inside that lake, and then the rocks inside are the continents. That's not hard to grasp.
Okay. So there's a landmass surrounding us, therefore.
There might well, I would say that there's water surrounding us. We've got lots of water. Everyone agrees that 70% water or something.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of water. Beyond that, we think there might be more land, and they might be hiding more land. But I don't know. Some people say there's an ice ring around that there's no sun, not enough sun, so it's all frozen, and we can't go outside of that ring. Other people say there's other land, and it goes on for tens of thousands of miles in different directions, maybe. I don't know. These aren't things that I can prove to you, or then go out.
But couldn't you prove it? Well, but these are things that could be proven, couldn't they?
Well,
Like
okay, so
within-
there's suspicious elements to that are answering that question, because back in the 1950s, all the major governments of the world signed the Antarctic Treaty. This is the only treaty that's never been broken by Russia, America, all countries that are at war with each other. And since the 1950s, they've never broken this treaty, which is that we won't go and explore Antarctica. No one can go there unless it's on a guided, controlled, military kind of tour. That's the only way, and you can only go to a certain place, blah, 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 and in and out. You and I can't, if we were millionaires, we couldn't charter a boat and just decide, let's take our boat down to Antarctica, we'll cruise around there for a few months, see what we can find. Can't do that. Why? You've got to ask that question, why? If you and I we're not going to make a mess, we're not going to spoil the few penguins that are there, but according to America's most celebrated Admiral, Byrd, he said there's land there bigger than America. I went past the pole and found land bigger than America. And there's resources there that will last humanity for centuries. And they lock it down a year later. And he dies a year later. So you can take that information, but so you can't even fly past the 70th parallel, by the way, not even get to 80 or 90. 70th parallel is super controlled, and most flights do not go there. And we've never gone 70 out the other side. So
Okay, I'm not aware of any of that.
I'm just making you aware. So I'm just giving you ideas to make you think, gosh, you know what? Yeah, that's what most flat earthers, or most globe earthers are told to go. Ask the flat earther why he doesn't go to the edge and fall off and blah, 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 blah. Everyone comes and says the same thing to me. Everyone. You're not thinking to yourself. This is someone else put this idea in your head. That, you'll fall off the edge because why? Who says there's an edge? I don't know there's an edge. No one in the flat earth claims, or some people do, but I don't claim any certainty about what's beyond what I can travel to.
Okay. When I go to what do you believe is Mount Everest the highest point of the flat Earth?
Some say that Antarctica has higher mountains than that.
But wouldn't you be able to see them if you were on the highest point of the Earth, or the highest point you can go to? Maybe you can even take a balloon or a helicopter to go to as high as an altitude as high as possible, and then you would see the edge in some form, whatever it would be.
But you're talking about, if say Everest, it could be 10,000 miles. I mean, your vision is quite limited, and at 10,000 miles, even Everest would be a pimple. It would be so small, you wouldn't see it. You see, because things do shrink down. You know that, hey? It's called perspective.
Yes.
The further you go away, the smaller. But if you and I took a hot air balloon now, went up to 100 meters, we would see a big part of London.
But when you look at something, everything that is above your eyes is still above, or like when you make a sketch, you make a horizon, and that's the height of your eyes. And everything that's further away and is above the horizon of your eyes is still above the horizon of your eyes. So therefore you can say that it's higher than the position of your eyes because it's above that horizon. You know what I mean?
I can't get it what you mean. It's a good point. I think actually when you go further away, things do start getting smaller, don't they?
Yes.
Yes. So if you were, say, looking at a city with a cathedral, for example, from 2 miles away, the cathedral would be quite big in your picture. And then if you went to 5 miles away, it would be quite small. And if you went to 10 miles away, it would be almost merging into the town itself. And behind this town, you would start to see the hills and the mountains and the horizon further than the town. See, but while you were right in 2 miles from the town, all you could see was the spire of that steeple. You see, so no, so there's no way that we could see things like that. And I mean, if it's 1,000 miles away, if it's 100 miles away. If you're flying over, thanks brother. If you're flying over a city at 30,000, 40,000 feet, you're really struggling to pick out houses and cars and stuff like that already.
Yeah, makes
that's
sense.
10 miles. And once you're at 20, 30, 40 miles, then the city just blows into a little brown blob on the land.
But that's not my point. My point is, you can still see everything that's... Let me just...
It's another interesting day at Speaker's Corner. It's the date 7th of August, and I did do some back and forth. Ask me a question. This one got a little upset. A woman got really upset about that. I don't have much energy for it though. Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were leaving.
No, I was just filming some other stuff. What did you want to show me, bro?
I just want to make a sketch.
I'm interested in your mind because you are asking good questions, by the way, but you're also repeating some of the same bullshit I hear from Professor Dave.
This is the horizon, the line of my eyes. And when I make a sketch, like this tree obviously is very high.
Yes.
And if it was far away, it would be really small, but still above the level of my eyes. So no matter how far away it is, it's still above the horizon of my eyes.
I disagree.
You understand my sketch?
Yeah, I do, because the further you go away, the further I would then... You can't see this in the thing, but the further your horizon would actually move back like this, the further you go away.
No, but my horizon...
Remember, if I went, say, if I was high enough and I went 20 miles out of London and I looked back at this tree again, this tree would only be part way in my picture. Beyond the tree, there would be more city and more landscape and more horizon beyond the tree now. So it's actually sunk into the horizon, just like the ship sinks into the horizon. Now, if we had a powerful zoom camera, yes, I could probably come back and look at this tree quite up close, but actually I am picking it out of the image, which is my whole portrait now, is at least a third higher to account for all of the landscape behind the tree that I can now see from 20 miles at high altitude.
Yeah, but, if you stay at the same altitude...
Yes. Earth is flat, you can't live on a ball. You should know that we can't... If you come from Jamaica or Africa, you're not flying up for the side. Water's level. We come from God, not from monkeys. Don't believe all the Darwinian claptrap. You are the center of creation. Yes, my lord. Go on.
For example, a ship. Well, if the sea is flat and it moves far away, you would still see the entire ship, or the same part of the ship that you see when it's close to you.
Why?
Wouldn't you? Because
I'll tell you why. Angular resolution. Your angular resolution is such that, and you sound like an artist, but you know that if you put your head on the floor now over a tennis court, or maybe something longer that was obviously flat, and you ask your friend to walk away from you with your head on the floor, you'll lose their ankles first, then their knees, then their hips, and then their head, because that's how we disappear from the bottom up. Now, if you were standing higher than the ship, if you were standing higher, they would disappear. Yes, they would. Now, we can demonstrate that all the time. I could put my camera down here and run away like 50 meters over. I've done that with other things. It appears like you're going away, but the moment you change your angle of resolution, see, so when the ship goes away from you at the port, at 5 miles, they say it's gone over the curve of the Earth. But if you now go you go up 100 meters in a hot air balloon, you can see that ship again.
Yeah.
Yes. So that you've changed your angle of resolution onto that ship. That's why they've got crow's nests up top. That's why they've got the lighthouse up top. The higher you go, the further you see. You go up the mountain, the further you see.
That just explains the curvature of the Earth. That's why you go up high, so you can see over that. The nearest horizon, as soon as you rise over it, becomes further away. That's exactly why you have a crow's nest and why you go high to see further. That is because of the theory. I have to question you. Do you really believe what you say?
What do you?
Because I think that the Earth is flat. Because I think people like you enjoy tweaking people. That's all you do. You don't really believe this because all of science shows you're completely, or your reasoning is totally fallacious. And the only reason you do this is because you like to upset people and you like to have a spirited debate. So that's what I think you're doing.
Not true. I would never have wanted to do this had I not realised how important it was for
You realised
humanity
it,
to know.
really. So all scientists around the world are wrong in saying the Earth is a sphere.
Well, I didn't go along with 2020's lockdown because I knew scientists
That's irrelevant.
could be
I'm
bought.
talking about the curvature of the Earth.
Scientists can be wrong.
All of the scientists are wrong. All millions of them are wrong.
Well, George Airy's failure, he was the astronomer royal, he said that the stars are moving with his experiment. And same with...
The stars are moving, so are galaxies, but very slowly. Of course they are. Galaxies rotate.
No, he was saying that the stars are moving and not the Earth.
The stars are moving. We're obviously orbiting the sun. All of science says this. All the indications are that this is happening. Why is it that every celestial body we see is a sphere? Do you know why that is? Because of gravity. Gravity is the same in every direction. So therefore, when gravity condenses matter, it forms spherical shapes. That's why we're a sphere, that's why the moon is a sphere, that's why all stars are spheres
Well,
too.
I say we are a sphere, but we live inside the sphere. And so we're actually on
inside the sphere?
Yep, because there's no fruit.
I think he thinks like a globe, and we are there's a plane in the globe.
And what's the globe? The blue we see above us is the globe.
Well, I think this is the dome, and the blue is probably the waters above that the Old Testament talks
But what I
about.
think you're really doing, you just really enjoy irritating people.
I
You really
don't, I'm
an
not
experiment.
interested in what you think what I'm doing.
If you have a really strong light and you hold that up on a certain height, and then someone really far away has like a piece of cardboard with a hole in it, then if they hold it at the same height as your light, they should see the light if the Earth is flat. But if the Earth is curved, they wouldn't see the light if they hold it at the same height, would they?
Well, I think there's a number of variables that you've got to consider there, because light doesn't travel infinitely and it scatters. So you're going to struggle to get that unless you do a laser test.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because
So we've done
in some
laser
of the,
experiments, yes.
for
What
example,
we've done is flat earthers have done laser experiments where they can point a laser over 2 or 3 miles very easily and say, this is level. I'm 6 foot above the water here. I'm going to put a mirror or a reflector at 6 foot on the other side. Boom, it's right there. So we do have scatter problems, over distance with these things. So it's hard to get a long range.
well, it doesn't matter because you will either you see it on one of the heights or none. And if you see it on one of both heights, either the one where the Earth is curved or the one where the Earth is flat, well, you have...
No, because, so you know what's the law that light will bend water in water? Remember
Sorry?
the name of the law that light bends water? If you put a pencil into a cup of water, see how it bends it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so light can be bent by water, yes?
Yes, sort of, yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
With science,
Well,
yeah? Yeah, not sort of. It's either yes or it's not.
Yeah, I guess so, yes.
Yes. So when you're looking through the atmosphere, are you looking through thin water?
Yes, light is also bent by the atmosphere. Therefore,
So there's a number of difficulties when doing a light experiment, to say I can pinpoint a point, because if there's a lot of moisture in the air, you can bend that light.
only if the moisture changes throughout the atmosphere.
Well, yeah, okay, but it might be in the atmosphere it's going to have an effect of bending it. So I find that it's really difficult, which is why I go back to, can we do curvature of water over small distances, like a swimming pool, like an Olympic swimming pool?
Yeah.
Because if we're curving all the time, then we should be able to measure it over even a small distance. And of course we can't. We talk about convexity and concavity, but really the Olympic swimming pool is level from one end to the other.
How big is an Olympic swimming pool?
50 meters.
And it would have the same radius, or the curvature would have the same radius as the one of the Earth, which is 6,000 kilometers, you told me? 4,000 miles or something?
But the circumference is 25,000 miles, but the formula for the curvature
24,000 miles,
25,000
which
miles.
is...
40,000 kilometers.
Yes, that's right.
Right. Well, okay, so
40,000 divided by...
Yeah, work it out, bro. I'll get back to you.
See the symmetry. So what I'm saying is, who's the great artist? Who's the great builder?
Well, 13,000 kilometers is a diameter. So about 7,500 kilometers is the radius that the convexity
Yeah.
of
You mean the curving?
the curvature of the Olympic pool would have.
How much? 7 millimeters?
No, the radius.
Yeah, but how much curvature should be over that body of water? I thought you were working that.
Well,
Work that out. You want their form? You want the formula for that the globe believers give us? This one here. That's the maths given by the globe, by the way. You believe that maths? You ever look at that maths? That's the maths of the globe. Well, then that's going to hold you back. But I looked at that formula and immediately I said, I grew up with the sea. There's no curvature like that on water. I can see 20 miles coast to coast. There's no curvature on
Have you
that.
been to Dubai and looked from the hotel?
Yeah.
The top of the hotel?
Yeah, once in Dubai,
What do you
I had a
see?
sunset in Dubai.
What do you see when you look out the window on the top of that hotel?
I haven't been to that hotel.
Right, well, if you go up there, you'll see a curvature. So what's all this
Well, what if I said that curvature was a trick of the eye? Have you considered
trick
that?
of the eye? I hadn't had a drink. That was before I had a drink.
You were given balls for eyes long before you were old enough to drink, sir. Let me tell you, your eyeball
So
is
you're
round.
saying that's a
Your eyeball
deceive-
is round, and that when you look into the distance, you're actually picking up a round.
Yeah, but then a ball
picture.
that looked flat. If I
Well,
look
so
at
when
the
you
ball,
go and watch a football match,
Yeah, it's
does
flat.
the ball look flat or the pitch look flat?
well, the pitch looks flat.
Right. So how do you get a ball? You don't play football on a ball, you play football on a pitch with a ball. You might think you're seeing balls in the sky, doesn't mean your pitch is flat, ball. Right? So I say to people, yeah, I used to think I'd flown and seen. I flew just recently from South Africa, 11 hours, a quarter of the way around this globe, they tell me. 90-degree change in my aspect from here to here.
You're saying it's flat.
It's because it is flat. Well, because I'm flying over flat water, level water everywhere I go. And when I was a kid, I was told that, no, it's too big, you can't see the curvature. So when I saw this formula that says you could work it out for an Olympic swimming pool, or a 1-mile lake, or a 10-mile lake, you can't find any curvature anyway. Frightening, I know. But
So
when
my
your
eyes
religion's
are
under
lying.
attack,
So when I look out of the hotel in Dubai,
Yeah.
my eyes are lying then when I see the curvature of the earth.
you're old enough to know, sir, that if you saw a train at 2 miles away, the train would be tiny. When it got to you, guess what? It would be huge, right? So your eyes are
Still
lying
hasn't
to you, but
answered
you're
the
smart
question.
enough to know that the train's perspective makes it look small. So just because everything's been crunched like those clouds, you think those clouds are actually going to touch the horizon down there? Or are they actually at the same ceiling, 1,000 meters, and they're going to keep going for as far as they go?
Those
They
are different
look like
levels.
they're touching the ground, but they're not. The plane flies overhead, looks like it's going into the
So,
ground.
so
but
that's
it's
an
cruising.
illusion then, what I'm looking at. It's an illusion.
Optical illusion.
Optical illusion.
Optical illusion. And it's been a clever one because they've tricked us all. They say the ship is going
Who's
over
they?
the
Who's
horizon.
they? Who's they?
The Vatican, your government, your educators, your masters.
Vatican. How does the Vatican know whether we're on a flat earth or not?
The Vatican invented the globe, and the Vatican invented the Big Bang Theory. Did you know that? The Big Bang was invented by a Catholic priest. Bet you didn't know that. Bet you didn't know that. Bet you didn't know that.
Physics.
Eh?
The laws of
It's all
physics.
Vatican.
I don't know what
It's
you're
all
on, but I
religion.
want some.
It's all religion. It's all
Yeah,
belief.
that's right, yeah.
The oldest globe is 500 years, and the Vatican's fingerprints are all
He was
over
up the West End last night, wasn't he?
the west end of what? There's no up and down on your globe. For me, everything's level. And the topographical map starts at
What
0
are
on
you
the east
actually-
coast,
what
goes
are
up
you
to
actually
500 meters in
achieving
the
out of
middle,
all this?
and goes to 0 on the west coast. And that could be any continent or any island.
What are you achieving out of all this then? What's your aim?
To be ridiculed by the believers of a religion called NASA. I go out and tell people this because I think that we are God, we are Christ, we are Jesus, we are the Creator, we are having an experience of God's self, but that experience has been turned into a prison camp, a bit like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption. You've committed no crime,
All right, so
but you're at your
there's
brother's
religious
neck.
reasons and everything
Not
behind all
religious.
this.
Religion is control. Religion is NASA. Religion is belief that monkeys can turn into men. That's religion. Monkeys will never turn into men.
Can I video you?
Yeah, of course you can. Monkeys will never turn into men, but if you want to believe you come from monkeys, that's a belief. I was in that belief for 47 years. 47 years. Go to space. Why did you go to space? You making the claim of space?
Have you
The
not
vacuum
seen
of space? The vacuum of space?
Do you not watch like literally?
What?
We orbited the Earth.
What?
We've done it. We've seen it.
On TV.
There's several hundred
It was on
satellites being
TV.
launched.
Sandra Bullock went to
Mate,
space
oh my
as well,
God.
mate.
Sandra Bullock might have gone to space, mate, but you
Sandra
definitely
Bullock
didn't
went
go
to
to the edge of
space.
the world.
It's called gravity.
You need more proof. And it's
I
just-
need, no, you need to show me how me dropping my bottle
gravity.
can make water stick to the underside of a ball. See, what you guys
It's called
are
an
not taught to
atmosphere.
think about
It's called an
is
atmosphere.
I'm giving this
What's on
power
the bottom of the Earth?
more gravity, more anti-gravity,
Okay, so if we're flat,
more
what-
anti-gravity.
If we're
More
flat,
anti-gravity.
if we're
Even
flat,
more, look
if I'm
at
flat,
that anti-gravity.
Right, explain this to me. If we're flat, right, and we don't fall down, what's underneath us, and how come we just have to just start?
See,
big
I'm
hole and
not
non-existence?
as egoic as to say I know what's underneath
Well,
us.
that's what I mean. So then, if you can't, prove
Mankind
that,
has
then
drilled
flat
8
just
miles
doesn't
into the
work.
ground. 8 miles as far as we've gone, but you claim you know what's going on 4,000 miles beneath our feet.
gravity, my
What a
man.
genius.
Gravity.
I make no claims about what's
You
outside
just
of
made a
here.
claim that it's flat.
I say we live
and you
inside
can't-
an
you can't
enclosed
explain.
system. It's an enclosed world, and we cannot get out of it. But NASA wants you to think that, oh, Elon Musk, he's going to take 1 week of NASA's budget and take you to Mars. Take your imagination all the way to Mars. Make you continue to believe you evolved from the ape. And here you are,
There's an
proudly
inconsistency.
evolved from
Anyone
African
can,
ape.
anyone can shout,
And
my
you've
man.
done well
Anyone
to
can
come
shout.
through this.
Learn how to debate.
But it's all to
Your
minimize
argu-
you,
know,
because
improve
you
your
are the center
argument.
of creation.
Improve your argument.
You are Jesus.
Seriously.
The religions want you to think that you are not that special. But the truth is, the science has you think you evolved from monkeys, came from a big bang, but this place was created for you, possibly even by you, or at least by our higher self, or whatever you call God. So that's who we are. But this system is a prison farm, and it wants to enslave you, keep you paying your taxes, keep you wearing your face. I bet you did. Hey, did you double up with a face towel, the lady towel over the mouth? Did you do that in 2020?
But what's that
Because
got
you
to do with
believe
the
the
flat
science. You boys believe the science. Needled
we
as well, I
don't. No, we
bet.
don't.
Hey, hey. You don't believe the science that much. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. But they can lock you down because you are believe you come from monkeys. Because you believe you come from monkeys, they can lock you down. So you guys will continue to be enslaved. Pay your taxes, pay interest on the money you borrow, spend 40 or 50 years working to be a slave, to be told when you can go on holiday, told when you can go to the shops,
What's going on?
told when you can spend money on
only go to the shops if I run out of
something
milk.
that. All I'm saying is global warming is another lie designed to minimize you. Vegetarianism, all that sort of stuff is
global
designed to
warming
minimize
is an issue.
you.
How come our weather is getting better and better year on year, and like over a period of years we've actually watched an increase in degrees? Now, if global warming wasn't a thing, explain that to me. Is that we're getting closer to the sun? Has the Earth and the flat Earth tilted? If it's flat and it tilted and there's no such thing as gravity, we'd all be walking this way. my
Yeah, we
man.
would be, and if we walked on the side of the ball, we'd be walking this way.
No, but you see, that's
So
the whole
let
thing
me
about
tell you,
gravity.
let me tell you that
Gravity's
climate
beautiful.
change is a real thing. Guess what?
So what
we
about-
can
what-
drill,
what-
we
what
can
about
drill
magnetic
thousands of
core?
years of ice cores and find that yes, guess what? We've had
The drill's just
oxygen
going to come out
levels.
the other end and just
8
disappear.
miles is all we've got.
8 miles.
In your dreams, you,
know
might go
that
to
though.
4,000
8
miles.
miles.
It's called the Kola Deep in Russia, 1997. Do
engineer
your
as well.
homework, boy.
So when they drilled
Let me
down,
tell
they
you,
just found
that's
like
all
what?
they could
Like,
find.
They could see
They
into
found
space.
after 2 years,
They
they
see
got
it into
20
space.
centimeters. They said we're giving up.
And they seen space. They seen like the.
There
abyss,
doesn't
they
have to be
seen,
space.
So
Space
what
is
is
an
it?
illusion.
So what is
It's
it?
all Disney.
Space is an illusion.
This
That's
idea,
the
this is
curvature
the
of
only
Earth's an
space.
illusion.
This
It's
is
all
the
an
only space
illusion.
there is. The
So
space that you can move in. Outer space that you call space, outer space is not real. There might be water above us, I don't know, but that there's a vacuum, that there's a high tall vacuum sitting
Well, there is.
alongside of an
Explain the
atmosphere.
clouds then. How
you
did the
believe
clouds-
Explain thermodynamics. Explain thermodynamics, how you can have a pressure, non-pressure system without a fixed barrier. Explain that.
Thermodynamics.
Oh yes. Well,
What does
we
thermodynamics have to
we
do
know
with the Earth
that,
being
that to have a
flat?
deodorant can, we know this is, you'll probably
All right,
understand
so
this.
you put a vacuum in. So you're saying we're flat, right? So if I boil a kettle and it takes 100 degrees to boil, if I put it in a vacuum at 2 bar pressure, how come it takes 65 degrees to boil? That's 35 degrees less. Explain that.
So you
create
put
a
it in
vacuum.
so you put it in
create
a,
vacuum.
sorry,
So
let me
how-
just
so-
take your evidence. You put it in a what?
A vacuum.
A vacuum chamber.
Yeah, it's
A vacuum chamber.
thing.
Do you
And
see
that's
that word?
round or
It's a round
straight.
thing, and the NASA one, 8-foot thick walls. Why? Because to have a vacuum, you need containment.
Have a vacuum with like half
Oh, dream on, my friend. They are doing NASA spacewalks in a swimming pool. Disney,
of course, because it
Disney,
mimics.
they're training it.
Yeah.
It mimics space. Do you realize if you've done any scuba diving, you know that at 2 or
In
3
scuba
bar
diving.
of pressure,
Yeah.
everything is starting to push on you.
Yes, of course.
In
it's
a
the same, it's called
vacuum,
cheese. But
everything is pulling on you.
but
In
that's not a
completely
vacuum.
the opposite
but that's-
force.
But they're not training to be in a
Completely
vacuum.
the opposite force.
Not
So
training.
they're training in a swimming pool under pressure to be in non-pressure. They've never taken the spacesuit in a vacuum chamber. Chamber.
All right, man.
It's a chamber
Yeah,
like
of
a
course, because if
deodorant
you
can.
put someone in a vacuum, you've got all that compression. It's like the real.
They've never put a man in a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber on Earth.
Right, yeah, well done.
It's
That's
all
great.
Disney, bro.
Okay.
Go back and look at the
flat,
moon
right.
landings.
So show
look at the
me
moon
on all
landings.
these
I don't have to
beautiful-
show you
look at
anything.
these
It's
beautiful
your belief
pictures.
system that's under
No.
attack. I don't have a belief
With
system.
all your beautiful pictures, where's the edge of the earth where
I
we
don't
all
have a
fall
belief
off?
system.
No,
Every
no,
Muppet tells
but
me that.
that's
I
your-
hear that from every
that's your-
Simon
is
Dan
that-
fan.
Is that your?
There's that Professor Dave you've been learning
barrier?
your science from. Professor Dave never talks about formula for curvature on the supposed ball Earth. 8 inches per mile squared, according to trigonometry. Not me.
Do you have
According
a
to
nice
the
little
ball
pamphlet that
boys,
you read?
they will tell me that. I did this research 7 years ago because I had to make sure
So
at
did
the
you-
age of 47
okay, so did
I
you
wasn't
make sure
being
you went to
misled
the
as
edge
well.
Did you make sure you went to the edge of the earth just to see it? The tipping
You need
point?
there to be an edge because you know what? If you live in a ball,
Where's it going to end? You're saying it's endless.
where's the flat spot on a ball?
But where's the end?
Where's the flat
there is
spot
no
on a
flat
ball?
spot on a ball.
So
That's
these
the whole
all
point
edges.
of the sphere, that we
All
can
edges.
circle navigate
So can
the
I have
globe.
your gravity? Can I borrow your religion of
Gravity's what
gravity?
keeps you
So you
together.
can't fall the edge
Religion,
of my Earth?
gravity wasn't made up by
I
religion.
don't make claims
the
about
church
this idea.
didn't make gravity.
But exactly,
NASA
where's
didn't
the
make
edge?
gravity.
Where's the edge?
Yeah, which nation lives
I
at the
asked you to
edge?
research the Antarctic Treaty. After 30 years of American exploration in Antarctica in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, they shut Antarctica down with the Antarctic Treaty, which is signed by Russia and all the big countries that have been at war with each other. And they've never, it's the only unbroken treaty on Earth. Go and look at it. Antarctic Treaty. You cannot, no matter how rich you are, you cannot decide today I'm going to go to Antarctica. You cannot, no matter how wealthy you are. You cannot go there, set up shop. And Admiral Byrd is on record on American UCT TV saying, by the way, I went past the pole and I found land bigger than America. He's on record. You can go and see this. He was given 3 ticker tape parades. He was the youngest admiral in the American fleet. And he spent 30 years with the whole fleet researching and going around Antarctica. And now now they shut it down. And people say, oh, well, we can't go there. Ranulph Fiennes, the British most famous explorer, took him 5 years to get a permit just to go over one peninsula of the Antarctic. So we don't know what's down below and why they're locking us down from going to have a look. If there's nothing to hide. If there's nothing to hide.
What's
happening in America now?
What's
happening in America? Too many fires, too many water.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Nice one, bud.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. Oh, hello.
Hi.
That can had to be, once you broke that seal,
Yeah.
there was an equalization of pressure and it's immediately
course.
equalizing with the surrounding environment. So we say that thermodynamics is one of the key facets of our atmosphere, of our world, is that if I punch it, the pressure is going to go away.
What's the point in lying about it?
No,
If it's-
hang on,
no, but
hang on.
no,
Let's
if
take
it's
it back
flat-
to basics.
if it's flat-
What I'd really like to know is what was the fact that you heard that changed
Curvature.
your mind?
Curvature formula for water on a globe.
So this is a mathematical...
It's a mathematical thing. Here it is here. I'll show it to you, but it's when I've heard it, they say it's I don't agree with it, by the way, but this is if you research, if you go on Wikipedia and say what is the curvature formula for the globe we live on, the formula of the
Yes.
it's 8 inches per mile squared.
I heard that too, yeah.
I don't agree with that because I say that if we lived on a ball, it would be equally bending all the time, not incrementally increasing once you start a journey. it shouldn't matter where you are. You're not going to affect the shape of the ball. If you're a gnat and you land on a football, you're not going to create a flat spot there. It's all ball. It doesn't matter where you
that
are.
8 inches per mile is only for the purposes of calculation. It's not really, in reality, that's not what they're saying.
Then what is it?
That's just a way to calculate it, like a calculable
So
way.
if you brought me your can of Coke and said to me, it's got a certain diameter and a certain amount of bend as you go around it,
Yeah.
we could take some equipment and measure that, right?
Yeah.
And we could agree that it is down to the millimeter, in fact, down to the nanometer. I'm sure Coca-Cola have got that thing exactly.
I'm sure they've got a more precise calculation than the 8 inches per mile, haven't they?
7.98 someone came up with.
No, but I mean,
it's the
if
same thing,
you
really.
break up the mile into millimeters,
Yeah.
it would be a very, 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 very small decimal, wouldn't it? So it's just a lot easier to say.
Sort of agree, yeah, I kind of agree with
Yeah.
that. But again, I don't agree. See, the 8 inches per mile squared, and most flat earthers repeat this, and I used to for years, but the last few years I've been saying, no, that can't be right. Because if I take a football, let's say one of those kiddie plastic, perfectly molded round sphere, and I cut out any piece of that,
Yeah.
it's all going to have the same amount of
I
bend.
think that's.
You get me?
Yeah, I
No,
do.
well, the 8 inches doesn't do that. It
No,
says
but-
that for the first 100 miles, there's going to be a certain amount, not a huge amount. By the time you get to 1,000 miles, there's going to be a lot of curvature.
I don't think that's what that
Oh,
means.
trust me, I've been talking about this for years. So I'm offering you that.
I think they just say 8 inches per mile because it's easy to remember
squared.
rather than.
Don't forget the squared.
Yeah, but rather than, if they did it per inch or per millimetre of the earth, it would be such a small
Actually,
and difficult.
I worked this out. If you take that same formula and take an Olympic swimming pool, you should have millimeters, not centimeters, but millimeters of observable curvature.
Have they not tested that?
Of course not, because they're not, what do we build on water? You
No,
immediately
but have
you
they
know
not
your
tested
pool
it on
wasn't
the
level.
sea, like with a laser
Yes,
thing?
we
or
have,
so-
we have.
And then what did you find?
It's level. There is no way, other than for light refract bending and atmospheric conditions, there's no way that the water is bending down. If you think about it logically, if you're on a rowboat, and you're going across a 2-mile lake, are you going down 36 inches of curvature?
No, but it's the gravity, isn't it?
No. The gravity is you dropping that Coke can back on the floor. You picked it up, you drop it back down.
Because
That
there's a
doesn't mean
core,
that
core in the centre of the earth that pulls everything towards it, isn't
You're
there?
repeating what we were taught in science, yeah.
Well,
But do you know how far we've dug into this earth?
I think I heard you say 8 miles.
of
Yeah.
4,000.
Yeah.
So how do you know what's in the middle? Oh, they've got some machine that could tell us. Yeah.
Well, because there's tsunamis and earthquakes
Yeah.
and eruptions, isn't there, all the time, where it brings up stuff that comes much further.
Sure. No. Well, yeah, but that's like San Andreas fault. We're talking about 10 miles. We're not talking about hundreds of miles. We're not, and let alone 1,000 miles. Or 4,000 miles for that matter. So, no, we don't know. And I agree, I accept that what we observe is magma and hot, stuff happening on the floor. But that's how our world works, right? You know what? The further you go down, the hotter it gets, and the colder. If you've ever flown, you'll find your plane is telling you it's minus 50 up there already. Yeah. So actually, in my world, even though hot air rises and cold air sinks, the further you go down, the gold mine in South Africa at 3 miles, you can't touch the walls, it will burn your skin. It's so hot already by then. At 3 miles, not 3,000 miles, 3 miles. And that's as far as humans can kind of go, let alone then get drilled maybe a few more miles down.
So do you accept that the Earth still spins like this?
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
How do you
Earth is
explain
not moving.
How do you explain day and night then?
Because the lights are moving and they're small. So the light that brings the day and the energy, the wave of the pulse of electromagnetic energy that we call the sun, brings a wave across the land. And there's actually all the light of the sky, the blue of the sky, is not all coming from the sun. There's a blueness to the sky that we can observe that's not related to the sun. There's a lot of blueness.
Atmosphere, isn't it?
Well, how is it becoming blue?
Well, it's just the chemical makeup.
Well, I'm just
As it goes through the particles of the atmosphere, refracts.
Okay, so that's the mainstream science. What we're saying in electromagnetic theory is that it's like a neon lamp, a neon bulb. You can change the gases
You're
and
saying
change
that this of the sun.
Sun is it's
Let's
a light.
call it that
It's
for
a
that,
light. Yeah, the sun is a light. And actually, the word SUN, south, bar magnet, north. It's all an electromagnetic.
So you do
system.
think that's flat as well?
I think that it's a point of light. It could be a ball, it could be flat. I can't discern that. When I look at the moon, half moon, I kind of see what looks like a rounding on the soft edges there. But you know what? The moon turns like this in the night. You can watch this for yourself now. You know. that it rolls every night through the sky. And depending on where you are in the world at the time, you will see it at a different phase
sides,
of that roll. Well, now when you're in South Africa, as I was last year, it's rolling counterclockwise. While you observe it here, it'll be a clockwise rotation. And again, that's not something that your scientists, you're not taught that at school because you can't explain that with the model. I can't explain that with a flat Earth model.
So why do you think?
It's an observation.
If you do believe we've been lied to, why?
This is your question.
Yeah.
What's the point? Why don't they just admit now and go, we fucked up? Actually, it's flat. Sorry. What's to make a difference?
See what it says on my shirt here. This is not. I didn't wear this on purpose. But what if you're the king?
Yeah.
Because in my theory of electromagnetic universe, each of us, the multiverse is real, but you're a universe, you and I verse. We create the universe between us, but actually we're a multiverse, and you're your own universe, as are you. And so we're each actually meant to be masters of our own universe, which means that you've been teleported into this realm, this Minecraft game, and you should have a free hand to roam, to explore, to find yourself, discover who you are. That's what we should be entitled to. But because we're born into this sort of Darwinist dog-eat-dog struggle for survival, there's not enough resources to go around, all that kind of thing, then we'll get on the gravy on the job train and spend our entire what God intended for you to have 50 healthy, 60 healthy years of going around exploring and finding what you love and what tastes good and enjoy and so on. Instead of doing that, you were at a desk until you were knackered.
I don't see the connection with this though, do you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, trust me, when I found it 7 years ago, I wouldn't have known that either before. If I'd come across someone myself 8 years ago, I would have said, well, what does it matter? My wife for 2 years said the same thing until it cracked for her, and she was like, wow, it really does make a difference in terms of you knowing what and who you are and how important this place is and how much the governments are designed to honor some deal or control the narrative such that we never know this.
Do you think all the pilots are in on it as
no,
well? Then?
No.
So the pilots are mistaken with.
There's plenty of pilots on YouTube saying yes, it's flat. We don't account for any drift because the globe is moving underneath us, or we don't account for any curvature because we're going down or coming back up Africa or whatever. There's nothing.
There must be pilots that have flown over the area that you think is. The edge of the disc, right?
So you know that there's not one single flight plan ever gone under the globe and come out the other side at 180 degrees.
I'd have to check that.
Yeah,
we're a two-sided flat Earth.
I don't know about that, but in electromagnetic theory, I have to consider that possibility. Because if you look at a bar magnet in 3D, if you look at a ferrocell, for example, under a powerful neodymium magnet, what you see are these spider flow lines that will come out at 360 degrees from the bar magnet. So I have to, and it's only recently in the last few months that I've said to my wife, it is possible that there could be a world people could be underneath and not know that they're upside down to our right way up. Because if you look at the metal filings, iron filings on the bar magnet, they in a 360 degree spray, it makes no difference. They're always doing what the globe says, which is that they're finding perpendicular into a magnetic center.
And those people on the other side are being held up while we're being held down.
I don't know that it would be like that. For them, it would have to be that that was literally their down, that they were not being held. If it was possible, I'm only keeping my mind
I came in halfway
open.
through. I'm still unclear as what is holding us down. When I jump, why do I return?
Because you're heavier than the water. If you jumped in a pool, you would sink more slowly, right? You would return more slowly because you're more buoyant in that environment. So if I put five helium balloons to your back, and then you jumped, you could get 20 meters of lift. Yeah. Why? Because you've changed your relative mass or density in this atmosphere.
But I mean, the conventional science explains buoyancy via gravity. The reason that buoyancy exists at all is because the forces that act upon these different mediums is different because they have different mass. Yeah. In your theory, what gives rise to buoyancy? Or is buoyancy the most fundamental thing that cannot be explained via any other science?
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly that. It's that it starts with buoyancy and density, and then we build gravity into that. But there's a few things that they don't like to tell you about that. Is like the helium balloon will fly, go up, no problem with gravity. But once it gets to 200, 300,000 feet, it'll settle there, and that's because it's reached its natural buoyancy in the environment, in the thinnest air up there. Not because gravity's all of a sudden reached up and somehow can hold it up there, but not down here. So the reason when you're born on the floor. and you have to work for 6 months, 12 months to get yourself off the floor, and that's called muscle.
If
And your muscle right now is holding you up.
If I were to go to space and have a container that had, let's say, water in it, far out in space, way past the Earth.
Which I don't believe exists, but go on.
There is no space. There's a maximum height
This
to
is
reach.
the only space. Yeah, this is the only space. And then outer space is possibly water, but I don't make claims. I don't know what's out there.
But if I go high enough, am I still being pulled back down? Or does buoyancy end?
Yeah, so as far as we know, like Felix Baumgartner, do you know the Red Bull jump? He went up to 120,000 feet or something he jumped from, right? Now, of course, he's being pulled back down because he's much heavier than the environment, which is why our 747...
You said there was a buoyancy limit. If it floats up, it will stop?
Well, the helium. The helium will find its own natural buoyancy level, but there's thinner gases above it, right? Now, a 747 can only achieve 50,000 feet. Once it gets to 60,000 feet, unless it's been modified, it can't hold itself up in that thin air. Yeah? So everything's always falling to the floor, which is why I say if the moon was a rock, it would have to fall to the floor. That's why I say it's a light. Because lights, electromagnetic light on a roof or something, yes, but a rock, no. Rocks don't float.
That everything's trying to find its level via buoyancy, that everything has a density.
Always. Take the football and force it under the water. What's it trying to do? It's trying to...
If things were left to float, eventually the universe would just be everything at its correct level via what density it has.
Yeah, so I'd like it like this. Imagine if I had to take one of those snow globes and shake it up like this. Eventually everything's going to come back and down and settle. And so the heaviest stuff in our world, the golds and the leads and so on, those are going to go right down. And over time, maybe with heat and with movement and magma and all this sort of stuff, then your hottest stuff falls to the bottom, the hottest stuff, the heavier stuff, and then the lighter stuff naturally. I mean, you create a little bell jar at home and just put a little bit of dirt and water in a plant. Well, what happens? You get an atmosphere created in that.
So let's say we go to this level where helium wants to sit.
Yes.
And I fly there in a plane. This plane is pressurized, so the air inside is as dense as the air is here. And I hold a helium balloon inside of that plane. Does it just stay still?
I think at that height the plane would be ripped apart, first of all. Because
at the height where the helium balloon would stay level?
Yeah, I would think so. Anyway, but I don't want to get in the way of your theory. Go on, your idea.
So I take a plane to the height where helium wants to rest.
Yeah.
I'm inside this plane, which has an air density the same as here on Earth.
Okay.
And I hold a balloon in the middle.
Yeah.
Does it rise?
That's a really good question. And I think in the context of that, because you've got the same atmosphere in the tube as you have down here, it would naturally be lighter than that atmosphere.
Yes.
And so it would rise, yes. But remember, it's back to thermodynamics. Now we've got it inside a deodorant can, so you can do different things with it. So long as the can is thick enough, you can take it into environments it wouldn't normally be in, yeah? That's why we keep, our gases in these big steel containers.
See you later.
Hey, good luck, guys. The mind is like a parachute. Works best when open. Hey, guys.
How long have you been into the flat Earth?
7 years, mate.
What got you into it?
Well, I mean, in the year preceding that, I'd started, like my version of reality given to me by the BBC and the National Geographic started crumbling when I started seeing that 9/11 wasn't everything that I've been told on TV. That was a big one for me. And then the Vietnam War, I was at war myself in Angola. And so, when I found out that the Vietnam War was maybe staged, or not staged, but the American involvement was created by the American Navy, my world really started to kind of crumble. And then I wrote a book about my time in war, and a guy came to me and said, that your battles were being orchestrated by the Americans and the Russians, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I started to not trust everything that I was seeing. In 2015, I found this formula for curvature of water in a globe. And that was the killer for me, because I grew up by the sea. And once you start applying the maths that they tell us is a formula for curvature, you go, no, I can't see that. I can't measure that, and I can't observe that other than on a cloudy day. So I say, it looks like the water's going around there, but if I try and test that, I can't. So water curving is the thing for me. Water is always level, and then I found that there were experiments done in the 1800s to try and prove that the Earth was or wasn't moving, because that's another big one. Is it the stone that's moving that we're standing on, or is it the lights in the sky that are moving, like a disco? And so I looked at all the experiments of that period, and I found that they couldn't prove that the Earth was spinning, so they kind of buried that science and they don't teach it to us, and we don't really think about it.
So what do you think the Earth is? Is it a disc or?
No. That's a psyop, that disc idea that people are given. Oh, they think it's a disc and you can float off the edge and it's on space. Outer space is not real. I don't believe in outer space. I can't prove it's there. That's a vacuum, and things don't operate really well in vacuums. We need big chambers around them. That's how we build a vacuum chamber, because it needs to be contained. And if we're outside of a vacuum, then we have to be contained inside to protect us from such vacuum. That's the way it works. So, what was your question? Sorry.
Like, what's your model of the Earth, and what do you think it's like?
Okay, so I initially in 2015 was like, oh, it's all flat Earth and the sun's 3,000 miles away, and all this. Now I think it's an electromagnetic projection, possibly, that we live inside of, like a massive, like a bubble, but like a massive planetarium, really. You know, like there's no chairs, it's just all this ground and some sea and whatnot, but there's a roof and the lights go across.
You know, when you started first talking, let's go back where you talked about war and everything. You was actually in war and everything.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel when you was basically on the planet whilst the war was going on, and where you come now, your journey?
Yeah, I'm in peace with my war sort of journey. Writing the book was very cathartic for me.
I gotta remember, good luck.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah. Writing the book was cathartic for me. But what was the question, my friend?
My friend, the question is, when you was like going through the war,
I didn't know about flat Earth.
You did study around what was going on the planet whilst you was sent out to war.
Yeah, I believed everything that I was taught in school when I was.
Yes, so the education and the history and everything.
Yeah.
So, what made you join like the army and get into war?
I didn't. The law made me join the army. I had to
Which
do 2
country?
years. 2 years conscription.
Which country?
South Africa.
South Africa.
And it was so racist. Only white boys did
I heard. Yeah, I've got friends from South Africa.
Okay. So,
yeah, they go out in outback hunting and shooting and animals and drink and all the rest of it. Yeah. A lot of them got a lot of mental health issues when they left the army.
Well, I got involved with veterans when I wrote my book, and I found that too. But you know, we've all suffering trauma actually, because we've all been. If this is true, then we've been lied to so badly.
Yeah, you have.
We don't know who we are.
Because you know, my wife's friend, she was her best friend in the UK. She's white, and she dealt with children with heart surgery and everything. And she married a guy from South Africa, which was a long-term relationship. And she never posts any pictures of her because she's Asian on Facebook or anything. And now, at the moment, they're going through a lot of racism themselves.
Yeah.
She never faced racism in the UK because she was white. Every time she got a job, she landed in a job. Every time she worked with, the other colour difference, she had no problems. Yeah. Now she's going to South Africa, where there's a lot of black nurses and all the rest of it. And there's so much problems, it's unbelievable. Because now she said she's been lied to by the UK government. Yeah. And now she's married a South African guy, and she goes, I've had karma.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because she's married a guy who's racist, but he's not actually racist, he's a lovely guy. Yeah. But because his ideology and everything everything that's happened to him. Yeah.
So you see, as a young kid, like by the time I was 20, I'd already been through the war, and I'd been traveling for a year after the war. So I got to see the world up close and realize, what we've been told is not right. There's something wrong.
But at what age did you carry out the war? What age?
19.
19. So your education at 19 was not at the level it is now. Yeah. Is that correct? Yeah. So when you was 19, you was thrown into a war, like killing people, all that. So you must have seen a lot of horrific stuff. Yeah. So imagine being in a war and coming out of that fighting zone, and then going in an area where you see different colours of people, the same people that you were killing, getting on with each other.
Yeah. No, I know. I've just been back in South Africa for a year, actually. I've spent so much of my time with black guys. We have a lot in common.
Yeah.
They know that
not just black guys, white guys, brown guys, different colour.
But
religion, race, all that kind of thing.
It's a one black issue. Although obviously there are black people who had problems, say if they come from Zimbabwe, Malawi,
all that.
They're seen as sort of outsiders there. So isn't racism an interesting example about it's not a black-white thing, actually. It comes from other fears. And in South Africa, the problem is, like here, we got a few jobs, not enough money, and now we got these hard-working Zimbabweans or Malawians coming in and taking our jobs. It's because we've
But that's migration shift, isn't it, really?
No, but why are they migrating? because they're so poor in Malawi. And their money, things are so expensive in Malawi.
They can't afford to live.
So I met guys whose family they see once a year, and every few years, and it's days of traveling to get back home, but they have to do it because they got to send money back.
Funny and feed them.
So we're all in the same.
You know, on your journey, did you ever meet any missionaries?
Some.
Yeah. And what were their influence on you? Did they have because a lot of missionaries that I met, the Christian missionaries and there's other missionaries, they go into war zones and start preaching.
Oh, I didn't meet any there. No, I didn't. I was only in for 3 months, in and out. Big tank battles, and then we were gone. So that was the end of my national service at the end of that period. So and then they kicked you out of the army, and they want nothing more to do with you.
So do you have children and wife and family now?
Yeah. 2 children finished university, and one younger child is 5.
Wow, that is amazing.
So we're just doing it all again. But now we know that we are the center of creation. That the government science, religion doesn't want you to know that you are God's creation. That God intended for you to have this experience as you are.
Your wife and children must be so proud of you.
Thank you.
Seriously.
I think so.
You have so much knowledge and wisdom.
That's very kind of you.
You have, sir.
My father and my sisters are not proud of me. They were proud of me when I published the book about my time in war, and a year later I found flat earth.
Okay. So when you was at war, they was happy you were doing all that?
Yeah. Well, I only wrote the book in 2012, 13. So I only wrote the book 10 years ago. Wow. But I hadn't, and then I was good. But then I found flat earth in 2015, and it killed all my friendships. Hey, brother.
So I respect what you do.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much.
Very powerful.
Thank you. Let me give you one of my flyers. I've got a... Who can tell me the formula for the curvature of Earth? Any of these geniuses from the globe? If you've got the formula for the curvature of Earth, I'll be impressed.
What do you mean the formula?
Well, if we live on a ball, a sphere, you've seen a ball before. Yeah, if we live on a globe, there must be a way of mathematically measuring or determining how much curvature the water has to go.
The Earth is so big, it's just going to
you don't have to bother with the maths.
So before the 3 pi r cubed would give me the volume, c equals 2 pi r would give me the radius, and by curvature you mean the angle of 4/3 pi r cubed divided by the surface area.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. No, this is what I mean. This one here. Spherical trigonometry is what they call it.
The Earth is so big, from our perception, it's just a straight line.
Okay, so it is a straight line that you can see.
Only, because it's so big.
Right, basically the sine function of course.
So, how big is it?
I don't spend studying.
You're not going to bat for a
It's
belief
about 40,000
that you
kilometers.
Around, I love the way you do that because I could go around a table or a flat Earth in exactly the same way. Because it is round, maybe it is round, like a plate. Like a plate.
Who knows the Earth is?
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
My name's Dave.
Dave, nice to meet you. Adam, yeah?
Adam.
Well, you seem like a good, sensible, intelligent chap.
Thank you.
Why would you believe the Earth is flat?
For 47 years,
are you saying Antarctica doesn't exist as that?
You saying that's a photograph or is that a cartoon?
Well, you think NASA's covering up?
That's a CGI. You just showed me a CGI picture, and that we've never flown underneath that. Did you know that
Wait. Why is it when it only takes very quickly from going Argentina to South Africa? If your flat works, then it would take much longer than it would necessarily.
So here's a great example for that. If we did live on a globe, we would fly from South America under the globe to Australia. We'd probably do that, but we've never done that. But here's the thing.
Flights going there every day.
Here's the thing. No, not under. Listen to my words. Not under. We've never flown under the Antarctic and come out the other side. This is not my research. This is a matter of fact.
From South Africa to.
Okay.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Allow me this. Just a month ago, 3 months ago, I flew from South Africa, and I've been thinking about this for 7 years. I'm from England, but raised in South Africa. I spent a year there now recently to hide from the government's tyranny. Now, world government tyranny. So you probably doubled up. But anyway, so let me ask you this. No, let me tell you this. Yep. The other day, I flew from South Africa in an 11-hour flight. Everybody knows it's 11 hours. Joburg to London, Heathrow, 11 hours, a quarter of the globe. Yeah. Don't worry that you're not going to change your aspect by 90 degrees perpendicular.
Around the globe,
yeah. So now when you get home to your globe icon tonight. Take a piece of string and make that string the flight from Johannesburg to Heathrow. That's 11 hours. Now run that string over the globe to South America and you'll find that, gosh, I can reach South America in 11 hours because the string is about the same length. But guess what? The flight from Johannesburg to Chile is 15 hours. A further 4 hours long. So it actually debunks what you just said, which is that yes, South America is probably further away than it's demonstrated on our globe, and there is no one map.
I think you should be willing to accept some questions if you're so confident in your belief system.
Say again?
You must be willing to accept questions, entertain
I love questions.
So I know a bit about technology. I'm a technologist. Okay. So our signal communication satellite infrastructure is designed based on the curvature of the Earth. If it wasn't curved by their calculations, we wouldn't get any signal transmission. So who changed the satellite?
What if you're in satellite business, they're going to tell you straight up that there is a curvature thing happening and so on. They'll tell you that. But back when Marconi first fired the first signals over the Atlantic, most people said, "Oh, it's not gonna get there because of the curvature," and it got there. So they said, "Oh, we must have bounced it off the ionosphere."
But that's all I'm saying. I'm talking about the communication. Where the communication signals are calculating the angles in order to synchronize the digital packets. If that calculation goes wrong, the digital packets won't synchronize.
Okay, but if I'm NASA and I'm tricking you, if I'm the magician and I'm tricking you, I'm not really cutting the assistant in half, am I? No, I've got a little trick that you can't see.
So you believe the entire global system in a conspiracy?
No, I believe that certain elements of the global system are a conspiracy. I think we saw it played out in 2020. Every country followed pretty much the same playbook in 2020. Now, I would love you to go home tonight and find yourself a photograph of a satellite in space. If you can find one, you'll have found something.
I have another question, if you don't mind. So, do you know the dictionary definition of conspiracy is?
Well, a conspiracy.
The dictionary defines a conspiracy as a secret plan by people to do something.
Yeah, so there's conspiracies.
Okay, so if there was a secret plan, my usual question for conspiracy theorists is: there is a secret plan. How do you know the secret?
I didn't know the secret until after it was played out.
But how did you know the secret?
Because I can see some of the clues. I'm willing to look behind the BBC's version of what happened.
Oh, forget the BBC, but how? Because in order for you to break...
What are you, Al Jazeera then?
Me? No, I'm just an elderly Asian migrant.
Because everybody's got their version of who is the right source from. I agree with you. How do you know what's right? How do you know what's right? So that was why I came back to...
Multiple sources.
That's why for me, I believe 9/11 for 10 years. I believe 9/11.
You believe 9/11 wasn't real now? Was it a hoax?
No, the buildings came down.
Okay.
The buildings came down. There was no doubt about that.
That was the United States when it happened.
And how did Building 7 come down?
Oh, the Building 7 I'm not interested in Building 7.
In all of recorded history, of all of our skyscrapers at 50 stories, none has ever fallen like Building 7. Okay. So if you're not interested in that, it's because you've shut your mind to asking questions that the National Geographic will not deal with. A building of 50 floors cannot fall in 8 seconds unless it's imploded.
But from the building to 9/11, but I think if you just focus on questions of conspiracy.
That's a conspiracy. I'm giving you one. George Bush's family is friends with Osama bin Laden. Well, I'm telling you, you want examples of conspiracy you don't want to hear. That the Gulf of Tonkin